So years ago, you might recall a small series I started called Then and Now, where I revisit a game I already looked at and gave an updated opinion on it. It's something I've been meaning to give a retool for the longest time, and after dancing around it for so long, here we are. I figured I'd give it a more appropriate naming convention. This is round 2, a sub-series to my standard versus videos where I give a game I already reviewed a second look, either because of patch updates that change the game to its foundation, or downloadable content that wasn't released at the time of the original review. If it's enough I feel to warrant a second visit, then we're going another round. I've covered several games that I feel fall under this category, most of them games I covered soon after they were newly released. Nothing sucks more than having a review become outdated because of downloadable content or what have you fixing any issues I may have had before. Or it could be other things, stability issues, lack of content, the list goes on. And so I decided to start this series to, amend the original video. And I don't ever plan on making these like super long unless necessary for whatever reason. You can think of these as bonuses as I work on the main versus videos. Now, are we ready to begin? Let's go.
Are you ready for round 2?
Sonic Mania was one of my top games of 2017, and I collectively lost my shit over the insane quality and dedication oozing from within. As someone who grew up with the blue Hedgehog since the early 90s, it was almost everything I wanted to see in the continuation of the classic formula. The sprite quality, the vivid color palette, oh my god, the music is so good. Alright, I don't want to repeat myself too much from last time. The lack of originality was its main problem. Despite the remix level design and ideas, 8 of the 12 stages were based off of previous titles, and while it's all to celebrate Sonic's 25 years of survival, there were only 4 truly original stage concepts, and that alone soured some fans. But then last year, to my utter shock, Sega released an updated version titled Sonic Mania Plus. And can we please make this a consistent thing from now on? Shit like this really makes it sound like they're paying attention to like feedback and all that sort of thing, and they're doing their jobs to update the game to make it a better experience. And Lord knows there are plenty of 3D games in the lineup that could have benefited from this extra polish. Folks wanted additional DLC for Generations, that never happened. Sonic Boom on the Wii U certainly could have used some touch-ups. The only other game I can think of that did this sort of thing was Sonic Lost World for the Wii U. The Knights add-on, the Yoshi stuff, the Zelda stuff, I think those were legitimately cool add-ons that made the whole game a better experience. But it's also one of the only times they ever did something like that until this game. But let's not get overzealous here. Sonic Mania Plus doesn't really fix the lack of original stages. In fact, you could say it's a little worse with the inclusion of a small piece of Angel Island from Sonic 3. Now, as a fan of Sonic 3, I love this, obviously, but this does nothing to remedy the main issue I had before, and it's not quite the same. There's no spring here leading me to goodies in the northwest, the hidden wall and the bottom route leading to the giant ring is gone. I guess Knuckles has been doing some renovations. If you already own the original Sonic Mania, you can purchase the Plus add-ons as DLC. But there was also a physical release of the whole package, and you bet your ass I jumped on that shit quick. This is fantastic. A nice shiny sleeve, an art book that shows off some sketches during developmental stages, and a reversible cover. Gonna be a pedantic asshole here though, this should have said Sega Saturn. Ain't no way in hell a game like this can run on the Genesis, not even with the 32X I think. Sonic Mania Plus adds a few quality of life updates as well as a new game mode. The updated menus are great, they're nice and clean and easy to navigate through and have some fun little scenes on the left that add some personality, although I wish they could have picked a better angle with Tails here because it looks like he has a ginormous ass, which is better than the butthole pixel in Sonic Advance 3 I suppose. For Sonic enthusiasts, if the drop dash didn't tickle your fancy, you can now choose to have the Insta Shield or Super Peel Out abilities available in dedicated save files. Before you can only use these skills in runs where you couldn't save your progress oddly enough, so it's good that you can have these at your disposal and not have to worry about beating the game in one sitting, even if the adventure is just about 3 to 4 hours long. Level transitions have been added to every stage now, leading to a more interconnected adventure. So you want to know how Sonic and friends get from Flying Battery to Press Garden now? Well, they take the hang gliders from 8-bit Sonic 2, and thank Christ it's an automated cutscene. You still have the main campaign, time attack to test your skills, and competition mode, which now lets up to 4 players race against each other at once, and the screen is no longer a Sega Genesis sandwich because of that. Sonic Mania's biggest addition is the new Encore mode. At its core, it's the same as the main adventure with several cosmetic differences and a few tweaks to the gameplay and level design. If you enjoyed Sunset Hill from Sonic Advance 3, or shit, even Splash Hill's own Act 3 from Sonic 4, then Green Hill's new sunset aesthetic should make you feel all warm inside. Mirage Saloon is now set during the night, Chemical Plant has this cool bluish hue throughout, and Hydro City is now very similar to Labyrinth Zone in looks, and I'm kinda mixed on that given how much I don't like Labyrinth Zone. It is weird seeing Oil Ocean Zone in broad daylight. Something as simple as a blue sky can really make the whole thing feel like a completely different experience. But if you really want a whole different experience, Jesus, Encore mode brings special stages back, but they're so much harder than before. These feel like a natural continuation from the first 7 special stages in normal mode. It really is like you're playing special stages 8 through 14 that weren't, ready for release at the time of Mania's initial launch. Limited rings, courses loaded with bottomless pits, do or die jumps, and super tight turning. If you want to unlock those nifty super modes in encore mode, you gotta collect the Chaos Emeralds again, but good luck with these, I can't get them all without having to reload a save file repeatedly. And it also doesn't help that the special rings themselves have been placed in entirely new locations, some requiring top tier knowledge in the level design. It's almost like I'm looking for those damn special rings or Chow in the advanced titles again. If you pass a checkpoint with enough rings in encore mode, the bonus game is this pinball machine where you can grab extra power-ups and add extra characters to your party. Yeah, there's no lives in encore mode. By playing bonus games or finding special monitors scattered throughout, you can end up adding the whole team to your roster. You control 2 characters at once instead of 1, and you can switch control between the first 2 characters on your list. Think Knuckles Chaotix without the tether, or Sonic Advance 3 with none of the team-up mechanics. In that way, I guess you could look at it as a downgrade, but the lack of the tether makes it far better than Chaotix by default. If you end up dying, you immediately switch to whoever's left in your lineup and continue on with no real breaks. This does mean rings don't have the same significance as before, as they're just a means for protection and not extra lives. Continues, on the other hand, are much more important since you risk losing a ton of progress if you get a game over. Though you still have a save file, so it isn't all that bad, but still, you don't want to start from the beginning, that would suck, especially in Titanic Monarch. You could look as Encore mode as a harder version of the main game, as the limited party puts more emphasis on survival and not so much trial and error. You can't afford to die much here, so you probably don't want to bum rush those boss fights and such, because if you lose your last character, well, I hope you had some continues. I do wish you can switch between all of your available characters at once though. Having access to 2 at once already makes revisiting stages a worthwhile experience with how you can seamlessly use both characters' special skills to find creative ways to explore levels and keep the flow going. But imagine the kind of chaos you can get into if you can switch between all 5 at once. Oh yes, I said all 5. Look who's back, holy shit. What alternate universe do we live in where Sega actually remembered Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel, who hasn't made a playable appearance since Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, the arcade game back in 1993. Honestly though, I feel Amy, classic Amy anyway, would have been a better inclusion to really milk that nostalgia dry, especially if you have a boner for Sonic CD. But it is great seeing these 2 back, and you don't have to choose Encore mode to play as them. No, they're available in the standard mode if you have Mania Plus, so you can just jump straight in with them if you want to get into the gameplay mechanics. Mighty can't wall jump anymore, but if you want to make the game easier for yourself, you pick this dude. The man's impervious to spikes and other projectiles just by jumping. Armadillos are known for their thick hides, and by God do they run with it. He also has a ground stomp that breaks through floors for alternate passageways that is pretty reliable for stopping on the diamond, taking care of badniks. For newcomers, Mighty is a great pick because that added defense can help prevent you from getting blindsided by obstacles or hazards you may run into because of the fast gameplay. If you want all the height you can achieve as Tails but remain at top speeds, boy do you have a friend in Ray. Those who enjoyed using the cape feather in Super Mario World will know exactly how to handle Ray's flying mechanics. That said, he can be a little unorthodox in mid-air. There's a certain rhythm you need to feel out to get the most out of his flight, but once you do get a feel for it, it is immensely satisfying to soar through the sky at high speeds. But there's not much else to Encore mode. Besides the different aesthetics, limited lives, and much harder special stages, it's largely the same game. It's mainly for those who want access to every character at once instead of just 1 per game. It has appeal, but it's not that much of a selling point in my opinion. Sonic Mania as a standalone is $20, with Mania Plus being $30. Is Encore mode along with Mighty and Ray worth the extra $10? That's hard to say. The extra characters can do wonders in adding a fresh coat of paint on what's already a fantastic love letter to classic fans, but there's not much you can do with Mighty and Ray that you can't already do with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. And Encore mode is really only there for those who enjoyed the main game and want something a little extra, and I stress a little extra. Don't get me wrong, as a high-speed platformer, as a Sonic game, Sonic Mania is top-notch and you should get it anyway, but the base product is more than enough to satisfy your needs, and most of those quality of life updates I mentioned previously were added to the base game via a patch some time ago. If you are thinking of adding Sonic Mania to your collection, plus or otherwise, get it on PC because the game is getting a hefty amount of mod support that I showcased some examples of in the last couple of Sonic hacking contests, and if those are just a taste of what's to come, well, that's all the more reason to add it to your collection. Buy the Mania for the Mania. Still don't know what that means, but if I were to take a guess, I think it means buy Sonic Mania. And that will do it for my inaugural round 2 video. I figured it was appropriate to start with Sonic the Hedgehog, but this is just the beginning. You guys can tell me in the comments below what game you'd like to see me revisit next that's seen significant changes either through patches or downloadable content, what have you. Let me know, please. I'll see you guys with the continuation of the Pokemon Marathon with Pokemon Coliseum. RPGs can be quite a recording experience, but I thank you all for tuning in. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.